Hello, welcome back. So what do Rachel Reeves' plans announced today mean for the levelling up agenda, which of course talked up prioritising left behind areas across the North and the Midlands? I've been speaking to the Shadow Levelling Up Secretary, Kevin Hollinrake. Thank you very much for being on the programme. Great to have you with us. So what's your reaction to Rachel Reeves' growth speech?
Well, I welcome investment. I welcome economic growth. You know, it's what we all should seek to achieve. Somewhat frustrating that, and surprising that Rachel Reeves has suddenly seen this growth agenda as one that she wants to pursue, particularly having this now optimistic view of the world after spending the first 6 months of her tenure depressing us all, the gloom and doom about where we were, which is not good for business confidence and therefore not good for economic growth. Then slapping businesses with £25 billion a year in taxes, which is not good for growth and not good for workers, actually, or consumers, because it pushes prices up and pushes wage growth down. And then what's coming down the track is lots more red tape for businesses, which, again, will disincentivise taking more people on, which is bad for growth. So it strikes me as a panic measure, a series of panic measures, suddenly grabbing potential investment opportunities, infrastructure opportunities off the shelf that have been hanging around, and you can easily argue that that's the right thing to do right now. But suddenly this conversion to a different approach in terms of perspective and approach is quite surprising.
Look, we know your views on the budget. You've been talking about that for a while now. But just to be kind of clear, on the measures announced today, you welcome them. You think they're a good idea? Heathrow Airport, for example. Third one where you back it.
As I say, I'm not going to be specific about each individual measure. I'm not against Heathrow. I voted for it.
Yeah.
Unlike the Prime Minister, I voted for it. And indeed, unlike the Chancellor, you know, the airport in Leeds Bradford Airport, which she opposed. So I'm supportive of investment. There are some challenges around Heathrow.
Are you frustrated then? Like you say, you backed Heathrow Airport. Yeah. We've heard Kevin Bayton say she supports it as well. You must be frustrated with the last lot then. What were they doing?
Yeah, of course, we didn't get everything right, and I completely admit that. But if we want to talk about some of the things we didn't get right...
Do you think that the last Conservative government got it wrong over Heathrow then, that it should have... I mean, it's taken 20 years, hasn't it, this debate?
If you want to talk about Heathrow, listen, I don't think our party was in principle supportive of Heathrow. We voted for it, which the opposition did not. So the current government did not.
Boris Johnson said he'd lie down in front of tractors.
That was a different thing, but our party voted it through against the opposition at the time. Heathrow, in terms of specifically, so yes, broadly, in principle, supportive, but you've got to move the M25 to deliver that runway, as I understand it. And around the M25, there's lots of reservoirs, a number of reservoirs, so it's not easy to see where you'd put it. Now, I certainly would not like to see the taxpayer pick up a tab for billions of pounds to deliver that infrastructure improvement. And there are other ways to deliver growth in the UK that I'm more interested in. For example, investment in the north. I'm a northerner, clearly, and we know that investment in the regions that have been underinvested in for decades, to me, is more important. And that's the north, the Midlands, the southwest, for example, Wales and Scotland. And Network North, which includes Northern Powerhouse Rail, which connects Hull to Leeds, to Bradford, to Manchester, to Liverpool, is a far better project for me to invest in. Now, Labour put that on ice. Why did they not come out today and say, let's invest in the north, let's get the whole country firing on all cylinders? That's what I'd like to have heard.
It's interesting talking to you because it comes across passionately that that's what you would like to see, right? And I think a lot of people watching would agree with you. Do you think it was a bit of a betrayal of people when, you know, you promised to level up and that didn't happen?
I tell you what I think we got wrong. I think it was a great ambition, a grand ambition, and levelling up. And they've dropped that from the title. I've kept it in my title as Shadow Secretary of State. But I think what we didn't say to people is because those areas of the country have been underinvested in for decades, it would take decades to rectify that. And I think we should have said to people, because the difference...
Well, you didn't really set out much of a roadmap either, though, did you? People understand things take long time.
Well, can I tell you what we did do? If you want to talk about what we did in Parliament, we spent £600 billion, record levels, on infrastructure in the last Parliament, and we changed the methodology, the Green Book, as they call it, in where that money is spent, which meant more money is spent in the regions. That's what we did. What we should have said to people, the gap, in terms of the relative economic gap per capita between the North East and London and the South East, is as wide as it was between East and West Germany prior to reunification. That took 30 years and $2 trillion to narrow that gap. That's what we should have said. This is going to take a long time. I would welcome Labour saying that they understand that and they're going to invest for decades if they're in power, or we should match their commitment to say if we take over, we'll continue with that, because that would really improve the fortunes of people right across the country.
Just talking to you today, if I'm honest, it's quite easy to interview Conservative politicians at the minute, right? Because you say, why isn't Labour doing that? And the response is, well, why don't you do that? Or look at your record on that, or you really messed up this as well. Do you think that's a bit of an issue when you've got a new disrupting force on the right, on your turf, in reform, who don't have a record on which they have to defend?
Well, as you know, Sophie, I came on your programme, we were in government and defended our record in government. So in opposition, it's different. But it's different for us right now, there's no doubt about it. You know, we're here to oppose the government, but also we've got opposition on our flank. Now, many people are concerned about it, including me, and I want people to vote Conservative because what's going to happen if they don't? We'll split the vote on the right and Labour will get in again. That's exactly what happened this time. But we can't just take that and trust, and we can't. That's not the only message we've got to deliver. We've also got to say to people, we have the solutions to all those concerns that people have. Some of the things we have had success on while we're in office, some we've made mistakes on. Things like immigration, for example. And there was never some kind of conspiracy to keep immigration high. We just got it wrong. But what Kemi's said she will do, and I support this, is figure out exactly how we control migration in the future, both legal and illegal migration. We want to do that. I live in this country too. This is so important to me, my children, my grandchildren. We all want to get this right. So, and I believe we can. I believe we have the solutions to those problems and the economic problems and the levelling up and all those things and housing delivery, all those things that really matter, and not just delivering 1.5 million homes, but individual people being able to buy a house, first-time buyers getting on the ladder, all those things that we believe in that I don't think any other party, a major party in this country, really does believe in. And I can show you what Labour are doing on that in terms of withdrawing support for first-time buyers, where we want those first-time buyers on the ladder. So, yes, I do think we've got solutions. Have we got challenges right now? Yes, of course we have.
OK, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sophie.